every time we do these activities with young people, they always come with a new perspective, which is always really refreshing and keeps us up to date. Another really good activity, probably actually the most successful activity that young people really like, is the place evaluation activity. So for this activity, we give each group of young people a green frame, a red frame, and an iPad or a tablet, or they can use their phone. And we kind of identify a route in their local community, and we walk around the route with the young people, and they identify things they'd like or they don't like in their area. So if they don't like it, they'll put the red frame up and take a picture of it. If they do like it, they'll put a green frame up and take a picture of it. And what this helps do is it kind of draws down the kind of universal issues that I think a lot of spaces kind of find. So like there's lots of dog littering, there's lots of rubbish, but then there's also things that they really like in their community, like they might like notice boards, or they might like history facts, or they might like recycling points. So it's all these kind of things to think about. What do they like in their community? What do they not like? And what would they potentially change? But young people really, really love this activity because, you know, they get to use technology, they get out in the fresh air, and they get to kind of evaluate in their space firsthand, which is always really, really good to do. Can I get the next slide here? So before you go on a walk with young people, obviously it's really important to risk assess, but also identify a route. So there's lots of things like Google Maps or Apple Maps or whatnot that you can use. And what we would kind of advise is kind of get a mixture of different kind of areas to look at. So as you can see, this is in Callander. So we wanted to use a little bit of the built up area, but we also wanted to use a bit of kind of rural backdrop as well to kind of identify what spaces young people liked more. There was lots of different things on the trail. Like I said, there was like history parts where they were talking about the geography and the history of Callander. So that was something the young people really liked. But it's really important to just find different areas for the young people to look at. Obviously, risk assess path before you go out with young people. Make sure there's no kind of hazards and whatnot. Also make sure there's first aiders, and make sure that you have a person walking at the front and the back, just to keep safe as well.
Okay. So after you've been out on your walk, or while you're out on your walk, these are some of the questions that we have been using, and they're not specifically for young people, but with anybody looking at their place. So as Laura says, we talk about, well, what do we like best about the place? So try and start with the positives. Also talk about what you would like to be able to do. So that is actually, what would you like to do? What activity would you like to do here? Not change in the first instance. When you come to this place, what do you want to do? So is it about, you know, do you want to be active and play sports or run, or do you actually want a place where you can sit and read a book or just be outside? And then after that, as you're walking, or when you come back into a hall, like you can see here, the young people with the balloons and the flip chart papers on the floor. Oh, isn't that nice, seeing people sitting together doing something like that? Yeah, hopefully one time again we'll do that. But then look at small things that could be done in relation to those things that you would like to be able to do in a place. Small, non-costly things that you can do straight away, but also have that discussion about, you know, in the longer term, what do you really think would have the biggest impact here? And it's maybe not something that the young people or anybody can bring about very soon, but it is important to have that big idea of what would really make a difference as well, while you're doing your smaller incremental steps. And there is a question there, question 5 is about connection. So if you are looking at a park, then it's always, or just one area in a neighbourhood. Always remember in placemaking is about access and linkages to that place, because if that's a great place, that's very good, but if you can't get to it because of a dual carriageway, or there's other things that stop people accessing that place, then it's not really going to have the impact that we wanted to do. So those are questions that we've been using. So what I'm going to do now, because there's another brilliant tool and some other questions that you can use, and that's the Place Standard tool that we also make reference to in the Young Place Changes Toolkit. So Kat will talk to us about that, and also the specific version for children and young people that's under development.